Hey Zach, how are you
Hey,
today?
we're back.
Once again, for anybody who missed the last episode, I think that's when we talked about it. Well, actually, or a couple episodes ago, I don't know. Caitlin is taking a little pause. She's doing a special project for us, and the first of those just came out on Thursday, May 8th. It was me. So we're doing employee spotlights, and so Caitlin is spearheading those, and I was the first guinea pig for that, and that is out there as of May 8th. You could find that on all our socials and everywhere. But today we're back to a different format. So Zach's my co-host, and we are going to talk about web design trends that need to die. So,
With Jesse.
yep,
So
Jesse, our
that'll
chief
be
creative
awesome.
officer, will be here. Um, as you may know, if you've listened to the podcast for a while and gone through things Jesse hates, things Jesse loves, those are two episodes from the past. He has opinions, especially when it comes to design and web design, and he is very qualified to give those opinions too. I don't think his advice has ever steered me wrong in design. So,
And some of these are pretty bad. He shared them with me beforehand. It's a lot of
huh?
fun going through them. But
Yeah, we're just gonna hit
something
on.
that he also shared with me was today's drink, which isn't a
I
cocktail.
wondered.
So it wasn't a cocktail. If we were going to do a cocktail, it was going to be something super simple like a whiskey neat. And we also debated
That's
doing.
for his spotlight. His whiskey neat is for his spotlight. That's
There
an
you
easy one.
go. That's a great one. But we also talked about maybe just being funny with it and doing a Coors Light. We found this happy medium where we chose a local craft beer. This one's from Jackson Street Brewing. It's called, forgive me if I say this wrong, Tatemada. It is, in their words, the official Mexican style beer of El Camal. I did not know what El Camal was. I talked to Riley. It is apparently their Mexican restaurant kitchen within the brewery. So you can order food from there.
Oh,
I've
oh
heard it's really good.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea that existed, but pretty awesome. It was designed by their in-house kitchen staff, and it pairs really well with tacos and burritos. So it's just a solid Mexican lager. Sounds great to me. I really want to try it next
Nice.
time I'm in Sioux City, but it's nice to have simple drinks like this and support local businesses. So
Well, you got to go like, wasn't it like 20 minutes north of Sioux City to Jefferson, South Dakota if you're going to have this?
this is Jackson Street, not Jefferson,
Oh,
to
this
be
is
precise.
Jackson Street. Never
Yeah,
mind. Oh
Jackson
my
Street.
gosh. Too many breweries. Like, remember
Let's
when Sioux
start with
City
a
had no
J.
breweries? Like, there were none up there. And now it's like, swing a cat and hit a brewery. Don't swing a cat. That's not very nice. So, yeah, the Tatemada. So funny, there's a brunch place in DC called Tate with two E's, Tatte, like latte. And it's like a coffee shop, tea shop. They've got like sandwiches, brunch. It's really good. And for DC, it's not terribly priced. I actually love their tuna sandwich. It's one of my favorite things.
I really want to try the food at Jackson Street. I didn't realize they had that. Riley was really hyping it up. I was kind of getting excited about it.
So when we were there for our holiday party, like a month ago, I noticed like when you go back to the bathrooms, there is a kitchen and it's got a little sign that says, it must say El Comal, I'm sure. But yeah, like, why didn't we have like giant plates of tacos? Probably because we just ate dinner and it was like 11 p.m., right?
It must have been.
All right. So I think this is an interesting one. It's a very simple one. We don't have a recipe. You just go there, get a tate mata. They'll put it in a glass for you, and you drink it.
Yep. So
Um,
perfect beer for spring or summer. I
all right.
think you
Well,
should get some tacos while you get it. But yeah, let's
yeah,
get into it.
let's just cut this short and get into it with Jesse. All right, and we are back. And Zach is sticking around. He'll jump in at some point because I know he's got opinions about websites. Literally, who doesn't have opinions about websites? We all use them, right? So Jesse, hey, welcome.
Hey, thanks for
Um,
having me back.
so I assume you went to Jackson Street and had a tate mata at one point.
I did. I did. I've been really into like the Mexican lagers the last
Okay,
few like months, I guess. It's hitting the spot.
that's interesting. Like it's fun to me that like a Sioux City brewery is doing a Mexican style lager, right there. They're generally like darker, right, and a little bit heavier. Is that am I getting that right or no?
Oh, they
I'm
kind of
completely.
range.
I'm not a beer drinker, so I could be complete. You could just tell me I'm completely wrong.
Think of
Some
like
of
a
it.
Corona sometimes. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I think
Oh,
of with like a Mexican lager.
okay.
And then
See,
there's like Modella Negra, which is more of a
Uh-huh.
darker one. So maybe that's what you're thinking of.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I don't know. Lager just always makes me think dark and thick, but I guess that's wrong.
That's the wrong. That it's light. It's more like a light beer. Like most light beers are lagers.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's probably a better way of thinking of it.
Okay. Well, my beer education is stepping up a notch here. Um, but let's do a little bit of education on web design trends that need to die.
Yes.
Jesse, I know you came up with three great ones, so let's just get into it. What is your first one, and why
Okay.
does it suck?
I don't know how familiar this term is going to be for everybody, but it's called brutalist web design. And if you are immediately thinking of like brutalist, like architecture, it's the
Hmm.
same thing,
Yep.
based off of the same principles. It's very almost kind of like shock value and very rigid. And when you apply that to web design, I don't know, something about it. Well, probably the rigidity just rubs me the wrong way, and I don't think it fits with a lot of what people do. I think there's a place for it, just like everything. But for the most part, whenever I see it, I just kind of cringe.
Yeah, I always think like whenever somebody says brutalist, I think about like the concrete apartment buildings in some Soviet movie
Yeah.
from the 80s. Like they're just sharp corners and cold colors and just brutal, right? Like that's where the word comes from. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
like throw that onto your screen and scroll through it for a while, and it's just kind of jarring.
I've seen a few of those where like the theme is all black and white. Like it's just a black background and there's like white lines and line drawings and it's sharp edges. It does feel a little painful. And I can't think from a marketing standpoint where that's a good thing. But I mean I'm sure there are certain websites that like sure that will work.
I think I see it a lot with like art stuff, whether
Okay.
that's like a photography, um, like portfolio, fashion. Sometimes a little bit
Uh-huh.
gets into that. Um, uh, if you're trying to be kind of like edgy, I think it's kind of pretentious. Maybe that's a little bit of a harsh term, but that's just always what I think of when I see it. Uh,
Yeah, I think if it fits your brand, right? Like if you're
yeah.
really like there's some fashion that is I don't think they call
Mhm.
it brutalist fashion, but it's all those like sharp lines and darks and blacks and it's supposed to give you this like feeling of dread. Okay, that makes sense. Or if you're an artist who's working in that style, that makes sense. But it goes back to what we talked about with like jumping on trends. This is a trend, right? Brutalist became a
Trendy,
trend.
very trendy.
Only do it if it fits your core brand. Like you have to. Do
Mhm.
you belong in that space? And most people don't. Like, no, your candy bar doesn't need a brutalist website.
Yeah, and I think like usually when you're trying to sell something, at least, maybe even if it's just a service, like that's not really the vibe that you want to come off with most of the time. Like we've been talking, there's definitely a place for it, but generally you want to put people kind of at ease and give them, really easy ways to navigate around, and this just doesn't do it for me. So
Yeah, it gets in the way of usability like really fast. Um,
it's
and
just
being able
harsh on
to.
the eyes. So
That's
like
exactly what you want. I want to go to a website that no one wants to stay on. Like, not the goal.
From like a functionality standpoint, does it cause any issues too? Because there's always like it seems like there's a lot going on with it. So it's maybe just like a bad idea, like in terms of that too, would you say?
I would say maybe not functionality because they're all pretty simple as far as the back end goes for most of them. But I feel like functionality it usually kind of confuses people about where they're actually supposed to interact with things because it's all kind of vague. There's a lot of like big text and everything's kind of spread out and sometimes there's stuff all over that you can click on and there's no I think okay here's we're kind of drilling down to it. It's really the hierarchy that's kind of messed up for me, because you lose that like read this headline, look at this button, click this button, and I think it's on purpose that they're messing with that. But I think that's the part that kind of comes in and wreaks havoc on a lot of
So it's
ideas.
sacrificing kind of the best practices just to match like an aesthetic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for shock value, basically.
I mean, and think about it as humans just going through life, like we rely on colors and shapes and cues and differences to drive or navigate or walk somewhere or just look at something, and read something. That's a good one. I've seen a few of those. I think I'm seeing it less, thank goodness. Um, you're gonna, Jesse's like, yeah, let me send you a list.
There is, maybe we can put that in the notes somewhere. There's like a big archive of them that you can just kind of scroll through. And if you're unfamiliar with what they are, it gives you a really clear idea just by scrolling through.
Nice,
Uh,
and then you can avoid it in the future, please.
yeah, and then send us it or something so we can rag on it in the office.
Absolutely. Okay, so number two, I completely get and agree with you
Mhm.
on, but I have some thoughts on it. But go ahead and tell everybody what is your number two.
I kind of figured, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on number two, but it's pop-ups.
Hmm.
Um, they will never not be on a list of things for websites that need to die for me. I think just like the Brutalist, and especially for like on the opposite end for people that are trying to sell things, I get the necessary evil of them. Um, and I think there's a good and bad way to do them, and that's probably where we agree, Rich. Um, I think when they're really bad and where I get frustrated with them is they're poorly timed. They take over way too much of your screen and they're really frustrating to try to like get out of.
The thing that I hate is the new thing where, and I've seen this on so many, there's one website that does it, and I can't remember what it is, but it's something that I go to a lot. The pop up comes up, and you cannot find the X because it's like a dark gray X on a black background or a light gray X on a white background. And it's just, or they move it, like they put it on the
Oh, when
left
they move
instead
it.
of the right.
Yep.
Um,
They have
I,
fake ones too, don't they? Where it's like actually like if you click on it, it's like actually the ad. That's like the worst.
Yeah, the
yeah.
spammy ones like that are specifically terrible.
And I do hate them on like, especially on news sites where you're like scrolling and you'll get a pop up, and then there's a pop up behind the pop up, and then another pop up, and it's like I'm out. Like first of all, you seem like a spam website that's just trying to drop cookies and whatever, which is what they're doing. But yeah, I agree with you that most people misuse pop ups. Um, I do, and I appreciate you acknowledging that from a lead capture standpoint, it can be helpful. But here's the deal with that: you don't have to do a pop-up. You can do a slide down, a slide in, a slide up. Like you can make it visually like ours. I think most of ours, I think, slide in the lower right corner,
Hmm.
and you see them, you catch them out of the corner of your eye. It's not like you miss it. And if you want to engage, you engage, but you're not
Hmm.
forced to close it. Um, which is the other thing.
And then,
Like they can close
oh,
on their own. Like
yeah.
if I don't do anything.
Yeah. And I think like when they are right in the middle of where somebody is reading, like that's my biggest thing too is like if I'm looking at a product or reading an article and they pop up right in the center and like disrupt what I'm currently doing, that's when I get frustrated and I will almost bounce just out of principle.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that it's like it depends on the site, right? Like, so we're used to them on retail websites, but you got to give me a
Yep.
deal. And if your
Uh-huh.
deal is 10%, please don't bother. I'm not signing up for anything for 10%. I need 20 or more. Like, it's just not happening. Um,
It
but
could
yeah, and then the,
really, sorry, it could really affect your bounce rates too.
uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because the easier thing to do than fill out or click that pop-up is to hit like Command W on my keyboard and just close that window. Um,
So I
yeah,
get from, especially from like a sales standpoint, like and even as a consumer, like if there is a 25% off, like sure, I will acknowledge that. But if it's for something that's not relevant to what I'm doing currently, and maybe time that well enough, like if I'm on a specific product page, not when I'm on the homepage, just seeing if I'm interested in the product at all, like maybe time it a little bit better. There's so many different triggers and things that you can do for those, whether it's a certain percentage down the page, time, whether they click something. There's so many different things that you can kind of tailor it to make it not as intrusive. And when people ignore all those and just throw it up right in your face immediately when you land on the page,
right.
that's terrible.
It's just like, ah.
Uh-huh.
It's like walking into a restaurant and they're like, "Here's the menu.
Exactly.
Read it."
Exactly.
It's like, no, I don't want to. The thing that gets me is one of the things, and you're right, like time on page, scroll, which location it's at. There's also how often they come back. So, like, I don't have to
Yes.
see it every time I come to your site. I think ours comes back like every 15 days if you haven't filled it out. But also, like, because we use HubSpot, if you're a known user, we're not going to ask you to subscribe. Like, you just
Hmm.
don't. So, if we've dropped a cookie already, there's no point in it. The one
Hmm.
that gets me though is there's the exit intent pop up when you move your cursor up to the menu bar. Here's what gets me about it. Like, I don't really care because I'm probably going to just close the window anyway if I'm truly leaving. If your menu is in the upper right corner of your website, so many times I'm just going up to the menu to like pull something down and it gives me the exit pop up. And I'm like, well, now I'm going to exit. Like, screw you.
Hmm.
I'm out. Like,
Yeah, the
ugh.
are you sure you want to leave? Like, yes. Don't ever ask me that again.
Maybe I wasn't sure, but now I'm definitely sure.
I
Yep.
mean, it is a little bit of the Midwest goodbye, right? Like, so I think we need to leave. I was trying to slap my thighs there, but I couldn't. Like that. That. Are you sure you want to go? Here, take some leftovers. Drive safe now. Like, yeah, no, don't need that in a pop up. So the next one, so as you were talking about pop-ups and talking about them like interrupting you, I was going to jump in with something that I was like reading the notes and I'm like, oh no, like what I'm thinking about is this one, and this
Hmm.
one is evil.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So number three is something called scroll hijacking. So if you're unfamiliar with that, it's where a website, for whatever function they're trying to get across to you, it manipulates the scroll to be whatever they want it to be. Which, if you're used to scrolling on literally everything else, it's jarring and it's not intuitive because everybody kind of does it a little bit different. So it's terrible for usability. And most of the time, I just try to get through it. Sometimes maybe it's just a section on the page, but either way, it kind of messes with a user.
Yep. I've had some where, and it used to be Safari was the worst at it. Like some websites, I would be scrolling and then it would just jump like a whole page. And I'm like, so that's, I think the thing is if you fight it, you just miss everything because like
Hmm.
they're trying to do it and you're trying to do it and it just like falls apart. Um, I also hate it when you're scrolling and I don't know if this is scroll hijacking or not, maybe it is, but when you're scrolling and suddenly something that has nothing to do with the article you're reading is there and you can't get past it. Like you have to interact with it. It's sort of a pop up, but it's really a scroll thing. And then if you like scroll hard, I'm doing it on my phone apparently, um, it'll jar it loose and it'll move up, but it's actually part of the page, but it just like, and I guess that is scroll hijacking because they freeze the
Hmm.
scroll and force you to do something. And I'm like, I just want to get to the article underneath this. Like, stop.
Yeah, it's really bad because l- there are certain things that just are intuitive now for everybody. Clicking is one of them, scrolling is another. Things that are just consistent no matter what browser or screen or device that you're on. And when you mess with that, you really mess with people because it's almost like you forget how to walk. And or you're walking on a really uneven surface and you're just like what's going on, and it's really kind of unbalanced, and just it takes people out of the experience, which if you're trying to get somebody to look at something or be interested in a product, it can be really distracting.
Yeah. And I mean, it's sort of like if you watch a small child get on a moving walkway at an airport for the very first time. And when the walking is done for them, they have no idea what to do. Or an escalator, like the
Hmm.
steps are moving, right? You just have to jump on one. And it's like, it's disorienting, it's mildly terrifying. And
Yeah.
you have to completely change how you function to adapt to it. And that's not the point of web design. Like I should be able to enjoy, immerse, observe, use, and not have to change who I am or how things work. Like
Hmm.
don't alter my reality. Like Jesus.
Hmm. And we've been pretty good at giving the like or situation. So Zach will be familiar. We just had a example in our creative meeting that was one that used this really well, because it in the background was a really well-timed animation that was scroll triggered. So not necessarily taking over your scroll, but it moved and manipulated this like gear type
It's
thing.
really
Oh,
complex.
so I got a nugget.
Yeah.
Like if I get a reward for scrolling, I get this cool thing
Yeah, because it
happening,
was
but I'm still scrolling.
so like things like that are done really well, and some people use it with products when you're diving in a little bit more and in deeper. Maybe it's something complicated that you have to like kind of scroll through to see. But I feel like they always handle that a little bit differently. You're still scrolling naturally. It doesn't like take it
Hmm.
over and where a big long scroll only moves you a little bit. Like it feels more natural. You're still scrolling down the page. It's just moving something or manipulating something as you're doing it. So same kind of principle, but like a better way to do it, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. And I was just like thinking, now I've got in my mind all these retail things that happened that they should stop doing.
Mhm.
And so I'm just going to put a pin in it though. Like, I'm not going to
Sounds
like
like
talk
another
about
good
that
episode.
here. That's a whole nother episode that is like retail shopping website, like horrors.
Mm,
So Zach, you
mhm.
can write that down. We can do that at some point.
I feel
Noted.
like you could do a whole series on that.
I know, like there's just so much people do bad. Um, any final thoughts? Anything else you've got on your mind?
Not really. I think just to recap, I think we like to joke about things that, trends that need to die and all that, but um if it fits for what your business is and what your brand is, there's always a place for anything. Like you can make
Hmm.
anything kind of work and fit with you. But in general, these are just some bad ones that are usually done poorly, usually don't fit with something, and are just kind of they usually have the opposite effect on users than what people tend to think that they're trying to do. So
Yeah, so if you've got a good reason and it fits, great. If you're doing it to be gimmicky, please don't.
just
Um,
don't.
if you show it to somebody who's not you and it and they're confused or disrupted or don't know how to use it, like worst thing is if an average person who's never seen your website can't use it. Like they're just like, I don't like this. I don't know what to do. And all of these, I think what's interesting is they're all a bit disruptive. Well, they're all disruptive in some way, but they also all impact the user experience and then they end up impacting the effectiveness of your site, right? Who wants to tank their site? I mean, it's
Hmm.
like having, soapy floors when you go into retail. Like, I'm going to turn around and leave. Like, don't wash your floors while people are there. So,
Hmm.
all right.
All right.
Well,
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you for your time, Jesse. It's a pleasure having you. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, you can find our agency at antidote_71. And if you have a question you'd like to send our way, head to ctapodcast.live to shoot us an email. Or, as always, even better, leave us a voice message on our hotline at 402-718-9971. Your question might make it into a future episode. And usually Rich says the next episode, but I'm realizing that we kind of glossed over that. So the next episode
I
is
mean, I
going to
can.
be the
Go ahead.
Jefferson Beer Supply episode featuring Nikki Werner. She's awesome. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this episode. So
Yep, and
yeah,
Jefferson Beer Supply that I was getting confused with Jackson Street Brewing, which are they're very different things, very different locations. Um, they do both make beer
apparently,
though.
well, and apparently Nikki is really good friends with the people at Jackson Street Brewing. So I guess it
Huh,
wasn't too
there we
big of
go.
a.
A little bit of a kismet. That episode, we recorded it actually a little while ago, and I will tell you that's one of my favorites. She was great. I absolutely loved it. So check in on that next week. And yeah, we'll see you then.